or should it be here? When you finish, the laborer should have his wage, isn't it? So why is the narrative different, especially in this country?
Well, honestly, I think the framers of that line of thought, if I'm to, because I've wondered, why will it be like teachers, of all professions? Because there are also some other nations where when you go, the premium they place on their teachers is quite very high, even like for nursery teachers, for primary teachers. But like here, it's like their reward is in heaven. Well, I want to look at that statement from two standpoints. First would be from a positive standpoint. And that is to say that at the moment what we pay teachers, right, in Nigeria is not in commensuration with the level of effort, inputs they are making. So it then means that the motivation of a teacher has to go beyond that of the salary, right? He has to look at a greater purpose. So when we say his reward is in heaven, it means he's doing that dutifully with a consciousness that in serving the children, he's serving God and humanity. And he's certainly not going to lose his reward. So when we say heaven, it could be a narrative of heaven helping those who help themselves, right? I mean, maybe somewhere you make some investment, and at the end of the day, nature, the universe, and God has a way of rewarding, the things that you've done. And then the second part is for those that say it jocularly, like more like to spy teachers, where you even say, oh, my child cannot be a teacher because teachers' reward are in heaven. They can't even afford, basic decent living, right? But I think it's actually what we made it out to be, where like a counselor could have far, far more significance in terms of emoluments, right? A remuneration much more than that of a teacher, whether maybe you have your bachelor's in education, or even sometimes for higher degrees, like your master's and your PhD, and yet when compared to political office holders, it does appear that both of them are serving two different nations, right?
Okay, so let's talk about something you raised here, which is very important, and people not priming their sons or daughters to take up roles as teachers. But between 7 a.m. or 8 a.m., we abandon our children in the hands of teachers up until sometimes 2 p.m., 3 p.m., sometimes 4 p.m., depending on their class and where they are schooling. So who are we fooling if we keep playing the ostrich with who should be a teacher?
Honestly, we'll be fooling ourselves because you are actually talking about handlers of your very future. Make no mistakes. A man and a woman's future, your generation, right? You're a kind of stake beyond now is actually encapsulated in your children. And the quality of learning, the quality of the process that goes into molding those children matters a whole lot. But unfortunately, both in policy and in practice, government relegates teaching to the background. And I cite a few instances. First and foremost, what really informed the federal government to come up with an order? Well, for first choice, you have universities like when you ride and jump. Second choice, polytechnic. And then third choice, colleges of education. Right? What we've done by such kind of disposition is that the very best, should not go for teaching. Interestingly, this is the route, this is the platform where including the exceptionally brilliant child is meant to be catered for. So when you have people that are below average as teachers, it also impacts on learning outcomes, right? But sometimes the competitions you see in universities to study like courses like medicine and surgery, very high. You must have your 5 credits. Sometimes some colleges of education could give provisional admission with 3 credits, right? While you seek for the others, because it's as good as. And 2 is that what such systems end up producing is those who really never wanted education to be their first choice, right? So it's more or less like if you can't get into the university and it's not so much lucky to get into a polytechnic, then we abandon you there. You come out angry with the system that which you ran away from. It's now, coming back to you, because interestingly, when you get into a typical classroom and you could ask the children, what do you want to be in future? Oh, so many want to be doctors, so many want to be lawyers, so many want to be engineers and accountants. And sometimes when you even have one of the children who indicate he or she wants to be a teacher, others start laughing, right? So that tells you how we have both by body language, and by policy relegated the teacher. You're a kind of stake beyond now is actually encapsulated in your children. And the quality of learning, the quality of the process that goes into molding those children matters a whole lot. But unfortunately, both in policy and in practice, government relegates teaching to the background. And I cite a few instances. First and foremost, what really informed the federal government to come up with an order? Well, for first choice, you have universities like when you ride in jump. Second choice, polytechnic. And then third choice, colleges of education, right? What we've done by such kind of disposition is that the very best, should not go for teaching. Interestingly, this is the route, this is the platform where including the exceptionally brilliant child is meant to be catered for. So when you have people that are below average as teachers, it also impacts on learning outcomes, right? But sometimes the competitions you see in universities to study like courses like medicine and surgery, very high. You must have your 5 credits. Sometimes some colleges of education could give provisional admission with 3 credits, right? While you seek for the others, because it's as good as. And 2 is that what such systems end up producing is those who really never wanted education to be their first choice, right? So it's more or less like if you can't get into the university and it's not so much lucky to get into a polytechnic, then we abandon you there. You come out angry with the system that which you ran away from. It's now, coming back to you, because interestingly, when you get into a typical classroom and you could ask the children, what do you want to be in future? Oh, so many want to be doctors, so many want to be lawyers, so many want to be engineers and accountants. And sometimes when you even have one of the children who indicate he or she wants to be a teacher, others start laughing, right? So that tells you how we have both by body language and by policy relegated the teaching profession to the background. And it's not what the government even like trying to contain that situation. Thinks it's just all about, in 16, everybody must have teaching certificate to be a teacher, right? Having just teaching certificate is not what qualifies you as a teacher. We need to really begin to attract those that, number one, 3 things that makes a teacher for me, right, would be that you are exceptionally brilliant, right? You are sound in mind because you are meant to teach others, right? You should be above par. Secondly, is that you must have that natural ability to communicate. It might surprise you to know colleges of education, what they design to impact the skill of teaching, which is okay, Alex, in the course of staying in the college, maybe after some while you could have like about a month where you are sent to a school, You stay there one day, or maybe one day, your supervisor just comes to see how you are teaching. And is that what is meant to give you that skill, that natural skill of communication? There are those that naturally, you see that they have that. And if you incentivize them to get into teaching, then certainly they won't have much difficulty. What they will not need to is like some of those technicalities like preparing of lesson notes, right? Compliance with the timing, compliance with the regulations and guiding the profession. It becomes a lot easier. And when you get someone who is careless, right? Motivationless, and want to make a teacher out of the person, it doesn't work that way. So I think by our body language, we've largely fielded people who are angry being in that particular profession, and it affects the entire outcome. And that is why we keep seeing different forms of dysfunctionality, where people are not, they don't feel incentivized to be in school or to finish, or sometimes even to drop out somewhere along the line.
I mean, very challenging. Just before we go to the next leg of this discussion tonight, let me ask you just for the final time, as we continue to talk about the teachers, is this how it will continue? Do you envisage that there will be maybe a change of heart in the way issues around teachers will be approached, especially from the government side of things? Because everyone believes that they will be the ones at the driving seat of whatever reforms about teachers. If they are really the molders of the leaders of tomorrow, there has to be a good package for them.
Yeah, certainly. And also, like, yes, the good package, and even thinking that teachers are those that deserve dignity and honor in every facet of the society. I mean, where are teachers really given that respect that they should? If someone walks into a place and they start shouting honorable because you're a counselor, they bring you to the front seat. But in the church, they say he's a teacher. He's teaching children. Who does that really impress? So we also need to begin to, before we talk about the policymakers, our attitude, right, towards teachers have to change. I won't forget, like, when I got into, it was one day then I visited in suburb, right? And, a lady was, calling in the teachers to come in and, that's under the former chairman, immediate past chairman, and then calling in the teachers, and after some time, just got provoked that one of them, maybe just did one thing, and the person is like, well, this is why, they say, we decided to treat you people as human beings now, and you see you are misbehaving. That before, the best way to handle you is through the window. And I quickly interjected. I said, come on, young lady. Do you know that the way we treat teachers, right, will reflect on the way they will treat the children? You can't treat those who are building the destiny, the future of the nation, with indignity and expect them to transfer some level of dignity. It doesn't work, right? I mean, when you even say, like, for instance, angry police officers, it's because of, like, everything about, the policies of government around police, right? Could be draining. Same also with teachers. So if you want to have, like, happy teachers, first and foremost, attach some dignity to that particular profession, right? Let people know, yes, he's a deserving one. People should be. The moment we can get to, like, what you envisage, where you can come into a classroom who are directly taught by teachers. That's like, apart from parenting, that's like the first professional interface. But nobody wants to be like that. The moment we can get to the point where up to 10% of the class will want to be teachers, then out of that pool we can have the very best. And when you have the very best, it will also even impact on the quality of policymakers that they will raise. But when you have everybody running away, then it means that, including the children, who would tomorrow become the politicians, and by extension the policymakers, they already see that as, well, if you're unfortunate enough to fall within this profession, unlucky you.
All right. I mean, so pointedly, teachers' reward shouldn't be in heaven, isn't it?
Yes, I mean,
it should be here.
I mean, we should have, like, we should restructure, right, the profession by incentivizing teachers to the point that the children will notice, right, that taking the decision to become a teacher is a good one. But to tell you, now who told that child, these are experiments I've done over and over again, who told a child in primary 2 that to be a teacher is not something to be desired? If you get into the classroom, this is what I've done over time, and ask a child, ask children in primary 2, if one person now says, I want to be teacher, others will start laughing, endlessly, right? And all of them will keep repeating the same things that were like, oh no, you understand, those 6 professions. I mean, pretty much when we were very young, everybody, many people want to be doctors, many want to be lawyers, many want to be, the same thing is repeating. How do children get that impression that it's honorable to be a lifesaver, right? Or a lawyer? But of course, if you are now a builder of the future, then it makes no sense, right? The impact of a teacher, sometimes, if it is negative, could be more devastating.
That's right.
Than maybe what a poor doctor could do, right? So when we begin to see it from that particular instance, then we can actually appreciate that when it comes to recruitment, especially in public sectors, where you begin to see nepotism, people want to favor their own, you don't do welfare with education, right?
That's right.
You can't say, oh, let me compensate my, he's related. What about the children? These are things that we should be talking about, because at the end of the day, what goes around comes around, right? These are those that we teach, those your Prince Charming.
That's right.
If they are dysfunctional, if they don't know it, and like I tell people,
it will show.
If you don't get them, you don't get them.
That's right.
Right? I mean, because these children are pretty much very tender. Some teachers, what they do is take advantage of them. Just look for the smart ones, because you have nothing to offer them. Nickname them I too know. Whenever they want to shine, right? You victimize them. In fact, the children will help to always silence them anytime they want to ask questions. And then, like, I always dramatize when I do coachings, right? For teachers across the nation. When a teacher may, for instance, is teaching maths, and you don't know maths, how they will always do that. When it comes to those soft areas, the teacher's voice will be so high. But when it comes to explaining, like if you have an equation like 2x plus 4 is equals to 8, you don't even know. Maybe how should 4, why should 4 even go to the other side? So you just say, children, what is the next step? So 4 go to this side. 8 minus 4, you start shouting. 8 minus 4 is what? 8 minus 4 is what? Blockhead. And then from that level, you don't even know what next to do. He said, therefore, the next step is this. You are not teaching, right? And that is why I say that it involves skill. It's a calling. It's something we should look for those that are naturally gifted, right? So that when you now give them some of those trainings, they can become better.
All right. I mean, we will take a break, but when we return, we will hear from my guest on the issues surrounding Minister Uche Nnaji's certificate saga. Of course, he's denied forgery allegations, saying that it's political desperation and deliberate misinformation. We'll get an analysis after the break. Stay with us.